Hey, this is Laugh With, and our video content coordinator, Bryce Tone, just said with 3 people. And this is the first time we've done a podcast with 3 people. I'm Steve Shenbaum from Game On. That's Erin Watson from Game On. That's Chris Friday from Game On. And we are laughing with Erin and Chris. And we're going to talk a little bit about a blog that Erin wrote recently. But before we even dive into that, and for you watching and listening, you can check out our podcast where all podcasts can be checked out. Erin does that pitch way better than me. We always start a Laugh With a podcast, and we have 2 people. What's something that brought you some joy, made you laugh recently? Kind of putting my improvisationalist on the spot. And I'll start with whoever wants to start.
I can go.
Erin wants to.
I got it.
Erin wants
to.
Erin
Since
wants
you have that powerful microphone.
I love that
hand.
Erin's got the cordless. Like she's going to do a cabaret.
I do feel like I need to sing some songs.
You got
for
a little bit of a karaoke
I
vibe.
need some like smoky jazz playing in the background.
Erin's got the karaoke vibe. Chris and I are like stationary, and that's not good for us.
Bryce, background producer. I want fog in the future, please.
Right.
Some dry ice, whatever I need to make that happen.
What made you laugh?
So it is the holiday season, and my husband fancies himself quite the Clark Griswold around this time of year.
good.
So we have a lot of Christmas lights on our house.
True story.
But the funny part about this, we have a neighbor across the street who also is putting up Christmas lights, and it's become an unspoken competition between the men that anytime someone adds something, the other one is adding something the next
Yeah,
night.
there's a light battle.
Correct. So my husband is literally standing at the front window, staring across the street as our neighbor is adding more lights, and Dan's going, "Oh, you have no idea what you've just started."
That's okay.
And then he'll go out the next night and put it up, and it's always in the cover of night. Not like they both work during the day. I'm like, we could figure this out, but
It's a
they were
gotcha
doing
moment.
it in the cover of night. And it's so funny because I'm texting the wife across the street, and I'm like, "Please tell your husband to stop." And she's like, "My husband will stop when yours stops." And I'm like, "Then it's never going to end." And so she and I are giggling in the background about all this as we watch our husbands toil over Christmas lights. And it's so funny.
So good. It's so timely because we just watched the Clark Griswold movie is actually Christmas Vacation, is
Yes.
it?
Oh, yeah.
And it's so good. This is slightly at moments inappropriate for the little ones, but
You
so
forget that
good.
sometimes, don't you?
By the way, that's a completely different conversation that we might have right now or later, which is, that didn't age well. But that's a
Right.
different
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
By the way, Bad News Bears does not age well.
No,
for
don't
little
show that
ones.
to
I'm
your
just
kids.
telling you that. Love the Laugh With. And if you know Dan, strong man, intimidating, awesome dude, but you don't want to battle with him. But the light battle is a safe battle.
Yeah.
Safe battle. Christopher, what do you got? What's a Laugh With moment that you've had? I'd go kind of pretty recently so they know, our listeners know, we didn't just prepare this. We just went for it.
Yeah.
Improv.
I would say maybe a little less on the laugh with, more of the joy with.
Joy with.
Since, it is the season.
To be jolly.
Yeah, fa la la.
La la.
But so I'm coaching club volleyball now, and so I'm getting ready for like volleyball season. We have
Yeah.
our first like official tournament, and so my daughter, my youngest one, is playing volleyball, and so just like watching her like play and just like the fun that she's having, just like bouncing around on the court. I think the thing for her that's like the most exciting thing is what they call the bundle, which means like you get your backpack with your jersey.
Yep.
And
The
like
swag.
your knee pads. Yes. And so it's that she's as equally excited to play the volleyball as she is to have all the various volleyball accoutrements.
I love it. The swag. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
The bundle.
Yeah.
That's good. And by the way, actually, all jokes aside, this is not a pun. I love that we had a laughter moment, but we also had a joy moment.
Yes.
And we want to encourage you. Don't try to be the funniest person in the room. I've tried it. It's exhausting. Not just for me, but for everyone around. Let's find laughter and joy in ways it could be just normal behavior. It could be anticipation. It could be a really funny battle between Dan and the neighbor while you, by the way, are texting the wife. That's hilarious. Good. Think about your Laugh With moment. Enjoy it. Lean into it. All
I'm
right.
going to ask you, Steve, what was your laugh with this week?
Do not throw this curriculum my way. Do as I say, not as I do. I have a lot of Laugh With moments recently when I'm traveling. And this is more of an internal. So you had the external laugh with, you had the bundled joy laugh with. I have an internal laugh with, and that is I travel a ton. I just looked at camera when I said travel a ton. I took a red eye 2 nights ago. This is time agnostic, but recently I took a red eye. And I find that people go too far on the red eyes. They go too far, Erin and Chris, to the point where shoes are off.
Oh, yeah.
Socks are off.
No.
No.
Don't say no. Masks are off, like on. I get it. You want to be comfortable. It's a red eye. You're sleeping on the plane. What I don't need is for you to start creating the Delta flight to be your bedroom.
Right.
Too far.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It's funny. So I have the windows. I take a window on red eyes because I know I'm not going to go up and go to the restroom. I'm just going to sleep because I sleep well on planes. You both know that's my superpower. So anyway, that was my laugh with. I had someone in the aisle. They weren't next to me in the aisle, and they just straight up turned that Delta flight into their like mobile home.
They just drop the tray in front of them down. Let's set up all their
pistachios, video, mask, shoes off, socks off. They were already in their pajamas because that's how they travel. And you can see Erin's face. And she just was like, yeah, let's have a slumber party.
They're lighting their nighttime lavender candle.
Totally.
Their essential oils
Yes.
out. They're
No,
ready.
you really do think that this is funny. I've never met you, but we're having a slumber party. We'll never speak. We didn't speak the whole time. And then she woke up, rested, mask off, shoes back on, well, socks and shoes back on, mustachios just left, and grabbed all of her snugglies and her blanket. And yeah.
Well, and I make that face of horror, but at the same time, like there's two different experiences walking off that plane because that person's gonna look all refreshed and put together, and then I look like I just flew on a red eye because I refuse to get.
That's fair.
Use the turn down service on Delta.
She wins. She wins. She's on a
she ends up
podcast right
winning.
now. She's on a podcast right now going, I feel refreshed.
And I'm over here going, I'm real tired.
Those people who don't treat it like their own bedroom.
Weird.
There was this really conservative guy in the window
He just sat there
with like a Game On hoodie.
and he leaned up against the wall and slept.
Nevertheless, I love
No
that
face
word.
mask, nothing.
Nevertheless. All right. Let's make sense of this. We already are. Laugh with. Laughter can be just focusing on just like a basic behavior. It could be outward. But Erin, you teed up a blog recently, which we loved, and we took part in it. So we wanted to make this our kind of our thread, which is this idea of like, well, it's folding towels, but it's way more than that. Why don't you tee it up? And then we'll kind of explore sort of leadership skills around it, laughter around it, humility around it, and maybe this idea of like, maybe my way isn't always the way.
Absolutely.
Take it away.
Yeah, so I wrote a blog for Game On because we do that every week. We send out a blog on Wednesday mornings. And I took this one over and it was called Lessons from the Linen Closet. And it started off with me. First of all, I am married to a wonderful partner in how we raise our kids, run our house. It's one of those things as a working mom that I feel so much joy and I feel very blessed that I can literally just leave for a business trip without any preparation for my husband because he is just as competent as I am. Now, how he takes care of himself when I'm gone, I can't speak for because I had a baseball parent come up to me and be like, Dan was out here in shorts and a t-shirt when it was 40 degrees because he said, I got the kids figured out, but my wife's gone and I didn't know what to do for myself. But the kids were warm,
Fair.
so it was fine.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say I have a wonderful partner, but the thing that drives me nuts, it always comes down to laundry folding. And the towels are the most concrete example because I feel like his only, red flag or like serial killer tendency is that he folds every towel differently. It's not even that he folds them. He does fold them wrong because there is a right way in my opinion, but he folds each one of them differently. So when I go to refold them and I'm unfolding them, I'm like, what happened? What is he doing?
How does that make you feel, Erin? Because you
I
have
think I'm failing it really well. No, but it's one of those things where he folds them wrong. They don't fit on the shelf the correct way. And so I end up refolding the towels. However,
With that said,
the whole thing just became a reflection on, if it's not the Erin Watson trademark method of folding a towel, which is nothing unique or special, is it wrong? Is it not the way it should be done? And so I decided to run an experiment with the Game On team, and I brought in a bundle of towels for my house that needed to be folded. So
True
thank
story.
you.
Yeah,
very
you're
much.
welcome. Yeah.
And I had everyone fold the towels, and it turns out, there were 5 different ways of doing that in our office.
And all 5 of us folded differently.
Who won?
It was me. I think you were the other one who folded it the way that I like my towels.
So real quick,
folded.
let me just correct. So we're talking about my way is not the only way, but the winner is the way that Erin folded her towels.
Well,
is that what we're doing?
if I'm the judge, yes.
It's 2 versus 1 right now.
Yeah,
2
right?
versus 1. What place did I come in?
Well,
Yours wasn't bad.
It's not a place.
You have other gifts.
I love that. What place did I come in? Oh, he's a good dancer.
You got the
You ever-
participation trophy.
Did you ever get that when you talk to someone like, what are they like? Oh, he's very good dancer. No, I need more than that. Like, Spirited. I love that one. Enthusiastic. What place did I get? Yours wasn't bad. Anyway, nevertheless.
Yeah. So, and again, I think 2 of us folded them similarly. So there are really 4 different strategies behind that.
Yeah.
But ultimately what we're coming down to is what happens when our way becomes so prescriptive that we're not allowing space for innovation. We're not allowing space for people to try. We're not allowing for mistakes, and we're not allowing, it becomes more of a rule than a preference.
That's good. Yeah.
So
and
that
it was
the
a
whole
neat way
idea.
for Erin to introduce, all jokes aside, we all folded towels for free. So she got that done.
Thank you.
Yeah, but it was a neat way to show authority and empathy and humility, because Erin was not saying, this is my way. She's saying, I have an issue that I'm navigating through around that. I think we all do. You know, Chris, what's a way that you have? Because when we will kind of figure out, just like we did 3 laugh withs, Erin's got her towel way. You have a way that it's like, I can't believe no one else does it that way.
Like a thing?
Yeah. Or like where you figured out like,
Probably everything.
why don't they do that way? Like
Well,
Chris,
I think that's probably like the natural human response, though, too. Is like,
Yeah.
everybody probably feels on some level like, why aren't you doing it this way?
yeah.
Right? Why would you do it that way?
And then you realize there's tons of ways to do it.
Yeah. Like,
Well,
like if, for example,
yeah.
if if I'm covering, like, let's say I'm covering something with full,
In other terminology, we call that
aluminum
foil.
Yes.
So when someone when
That's preference.
don't lose your train of thought, because I'm breaking every podcast rule right now. When you talk about a thing being, when some issue is sabotaged, you go, oh, that was fold or that was foiled. Different use of the word.
Yeah, I think I might say foiled again.
Yeah, foiled again. That's what I meant.
It's a Pirates of the Caribbean versus going to the Caribbean.
That's exactly right.
Oh, very good. Well
There's the
played.
right way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back on track. Yes.
So, like, let's say I was making a roast chicken, and I needed to cover it in foil and put it in the oven.
Foil.
Right? Most of the time, if you buy the regular foil, it doesn't cover. It doesn't cover the thing properly, right? Some people will just take 2 pieces and lay it over. I think I just look at that and I just chuckle to myself, because what you should do is you should lay 2 pieces together and fold it over and crease it to make 2, like where it'll stay hinged together into one. Now it's like one giant piece. Doesn't let any of the steam escape. It's a beautiful thing.
You're letting them live in the same full ecosystem.
That's right. Yes.
And Dan would tell you need to shop at Costco and get that industrial roll full that will cover literally a Buick.
By the way, I love that Dan might become the star of this podcast.
He kind of has.
without his permission.
We'll get him in here one day.
Dan's got a strategy, it sounds like, for how do I get out of this, right?
Fair.
So, like,
Fair.
I'll fold the towels wrong,
Yeah.
and I don't ever get it put on towel duty.
Nevertheless, he persists.
And Dan
which
loves
I
a Costco
appreciate.
trip.
Oh boy, does he.
Yeah.
Hey,
so,
Yeah.
he's manipulated this whole thing. Just like
broke the
that
whole
gal
system.
that sat on the Delta flight in the aisle.
Yes.
She won. You got a fold. You got a towel. Now I have to put this on me, and then we're going to get back to the blog. But we're kind of in the blog. My way or the highway, you know? Just astounds me that when kind of going back to like travel, Erin is going to get really upset right now. You get to the airport as close to that flight departure as you can, people. Excuse me, I'm hosting this vlog. Do not get to the airport hours early. You get to game it, because the dopamine gets going. And when you got a flight at 7:35 and you get there at 6:50 and you get on that flight, winner, chicken dinner. What's the worst that could happen?
As your director of program sits here and just can't handle it.
I have missed some flights, but that's my thing, and you know it. I like to I can't believe people need to get to the airport that early. And the fact of the matter is I need to get better at that, because you're risking and tempting fate.
And in fairness to Dan, I have things that drive him absolutely insane. And the number one thing, I saw a funny Instagram post the other day that was like a guy standing there with car keys lecturing his wife about, honey, you can't leave your keys in the car or the car's going to get stolen. And it cuts to an image of the guy from Sling Blade going, it ain't got no gas. and that's me. Like, my car doesn't have gas. They're not going very far.
Yes.
So don't worry about it. And it drives Dan
Yes.
bonkers that I will let my gas get under a quarter
Oh,
tank.
that's good,
And I'm
Erin.
like, honey, we live right down the street from a gas station. It's going to be fine. And he
No, but-
always gets on my case about that. And I know it makes him crazier than it makes me about the towels because it's all safety related for him. But I just, that's my dopamine hit, Steve.
I'm with Watson on that one.
Thank
The
you.
paterfamilias, Watson.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. But because, like, I'm just going to, I don't want to say you as in, like, you're kind, but, like, but my wife does this too. Is that, like,
It's like, what do you mean like a woman who's a wife?
Yes.
Fair.
Yes,
You
right.
you kind.
The female
yeah,
type.
yes.
You type. Good.
But, like,
Woo.
because I'm like, oh, it's a quarter tank. I need to be starting to think about gas. Not like, oh, I've got a quarter tank, and there is a gas station up the road.
But it says I have 55 miles left.
And then you go to Tampa and back, and then have you run 3 errands, and then, oh, well, you take my car, and then it's like, you start it up, it's like,
That's fair.
Yeah.
So driving it back to what we're talking about, though, I think there are moments of preference, and then
Yes.
there are moments of true need and guidance.
That's good.
And so I would say that the gas thing is a totally fair argument. So I will
Mm-hmm.
say it's one of those things that I, as the type A personality I am, I should probably be more on top of it. But the sentiment behind that one is truly, if you run out of gas, you're putting yourself in an unsafe situation. And I can totally respect that. Whereas, like, what's the worst that can happen if someone folds a towel wrong?
Fair. And I'll add to that, Erin. You're cooking here. By the way, I love when you said, "Let me drive this back," and we were talking about driving. I like that.
Did on
Well
total
played.
accident.
Well played. There's also a difference in, like, back to your blog, like the my way or the highway. There's a difference if it's my way and does it affect other people,
yes.
or is it just my way? You know what? Worst case scenario, it's on me. You know,
Right.
The my way on the gas, it can affect other people once you hand those keys over and you're handing an empty tank. Which, by the way, I'm more on your side on that. I'll just press it until it's empty. But then when I hand, and that only affects me, unless
You've got the
Unless
girls
you
in
ran
the
out of
car.
gas.
I have the girls in the car and my wife needs the car. So yeah, it's really this idea of my way, but if it affects others, my way. If it's just, hey, I'm going to have to suffer the consequences. If I'm flying with my family and kiddos, different ball game on the, on the wait till last minute.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think there's different moments where we need to be more cognizant of when it's a high stakes scenario, it is okay to give that guidance and want it done a certain way, especially if there's a rule or regulation or a safety thing around it. But again, I think as we're talking about putting in the context of leadership, when we're delegating things out, are we delegating with a prescription of exactly how we want it done, or are we actually giving creative freedom
Yeah.
to let people innovate and do it their own way?
Yeah. And is there like some specific way in that for some reason it has to be done a certain way, or would this person just prefer to tackle this problem in a completely different situation that you would, knowing that they're going to arrive towards that same goal?
Well, and I think that begs the put that we've talked right now about our spouses. We know them and we know each other. So I think one of the things that I think about, and I want to throw it to you two, is when we are asking and delegating, I think it helps a lot to know the person's giftings. Yeah. I mean, I hate to be so punny, but their style of folding the towel, you know?
Yeah.
That's where I get into trouble. If I don't know the person well, I'm like, this is the way it's done.
Well, along those lines, I purposely folded the towel in a trifold because I knew Erin liked that preference and because I wanted to win.
So you manipulated, you gamed the game.
Yeah.
You gamed
However,
the game.
I would say, like, the shelves in my linen closet, if I fold them in like a square, they come out a little bit thinner so I can get more on the shelf.
More efficient.
Right. So if I want to get more towels on the shelf, I'll fold them in a square. If I just want to win the towel folding game and she's the judge, I'll lean into that trifold.
I never even said I was the judge, so you made some
No,
assumptions.
I knew you were. Yeah.
I think
You've
it
got
was
the
pretty
microphone.
clear. How did you know when Erin comes in? She goes, You're all going to be folding these towels.
Yes.
Rachel, you're going to film this.
Right.
And I've written a blog called Lessons from the Linen Closet, which, by the way, on a side note, love the alliteration.
Thank you.
And Erin loves a good alliteration. I think Chris does too. Lessons from the Linen Closet.
And I think my last punctuation on that was, and just ask me no questions. Okay, thanks, bye.
Yeah, it
And then
was.
just faded out of the room.
Erin leaned into one of our dynamics called mystery.
I did.
And we were like, I don't know what's going on.
Every time.
Yeah. But when you're in the workspace and you are navigating and leading and delegating, I think it actually begs a really good discussion around knowing what your way is.
Right.
And also knowing who you're dealing with. I think that's a huge, because all jokes aside, with Jackie, my wife, I know her preference versus my preference. And then therefore, if I choose my preference over hers, I've made a really bold decision. It better work out.
Absolutely.
You know, what are some scenarios when you've been in the workspace, whether it's teaching the Game On curriculum or just navigating in our ecosystem, where you have had like a win, where you've actually delegated, but you decided to not go your way. You said, give the person some flexibility and let them get to the end zone their way. I don't know, something to think about.
It's a good question. I think, when we're doing events or setting up for something, if I turn to someone and I ask them, can you set up that room? There is usually a way that I want it done. And I recognize that. And I will usually come back in and straighten some things, rearrange some things, or I can just let it happen. And it is what it is. And guess what? The room is set up. And no one knows that anything is off but me. I think that's, correlating this to a different part of people's lives. When someone's getting married, anytime they're asking for advice, I'm always like, don't get too stuck in the details, because you're the only one who's going to notice those things. In the really teeny tiny things. If they're not the specific gold forks you wanted, your guests aren't walking in and being like, this is a wash. How dare they get the silver flatware?
Right.
They don't know what they don't know.
They don't know what they don't know. And I think sometimes our reaction to it not being done our way highlights things that weren't even a problem or weren't even an issue until we call attention to it.
Yeah, and I think sometimes on the other side of that coin, sometimes we have like an idea of how we want it done. We know we want the gold forks, but for whatever reason, we don't articulate that, you know what, I want gold forks.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so then we leave it, and then we either set ourselves up for disappointment or whatnot, when if we had just been a little bit more clear on the front end, whether it's, like for a compliance reason, I need this done this way, or because of X, Y, or Z, this has to be done this way. But then trusting if we don't give that guidance and they do it a different way, well then, maybe that's okay. Yeah.
It reminds me of this sort of division of non-negotiables and wants.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's really, I'm not trying to be so pedantic, but I also want this to have some can I use this? And for me, same thing you said, Erin, I struggle massively with, I know how this room should be set up.
Yeah.
Right.
But is it the only way the room should be set up? And by the way, Steve, is the chair angle, now I'm totally going to just expose myself. Oh, I can't believe, cut this part out, Bryce.
So boring.
Is the chair angle going to truly be the difference maker for this session, or are you putting so much emphasis on that because of maybe some other stuff? But so it's helped to go, what is the non-negotiable? If the gold forks was part of the entire theme of the wedding and the invitation said, can't wait for you to see the gold forks, which that'd be a weird invitation. But if that's the case, then we have to have the gold forks.
Right.
Yeah. But other than that, maybe we can just let things go. It actually reminds me, I'm not trying to walk into the core Game On dynamic, but both improvers, it kind of goes back to the rules of improvisation.
Absolutely.
I'll go to Chris first, and we'll still connect it back to the lessons of a linen closet. But Chris, to you, as an improv master and director of our curriculum, you teach all the time. If you have your idea and you're driving this idea and you're with a scene partner, chop that up a little bit. How do we incorporate a little bit of flexibility?
Well, I'm naturally along that way. I can be pretty malleable. There's an improv maxim that says, no matter how good my idea is, I like your idea better.
So good.
And so willing on that end to be like, oh, that's a great idea. Let's go with that and let me support that. And if two people are engaged that way, then we build it up. However, there are times where I don't necessarily, for me personally, I don't need to sit and go like, how can I be more flexible or malleable or more agile? For me on that end, in this conversation, I need just to say, like, for this, we are going to fold the towels in a trifold, and this is what it looks like. Mm-hmm. And then let's have some fun in that kind of a structure. Yeah.
Well, and I think the thing too is, if we were to shut down ideas as they come in and we're leading others in scenes, they're not going to want to participate again. Mm-hmm. So the last thing I want is to have my husband quit folding towels altogether.
Fair.
Does that make sense?
Totally.
And I mean that is a universal truth.
Yep.
I don't want to come in and be so dogmatic about it, to use your word that you were using yesterday. So dogmatic about it that it becomes, well, fine. Then you just do it yourself.
Yeah, then everyone loses.
Yeah,
Right.
everyone loses. And that's
Or you're
also,
folding towels alone.
well, and I also create this self-inflicted martyrdom of, oh, well, then I have to do everything.
Yeah.
And that's not who I want to be at all. And so that's self-inflicted because I've been judgmental or I've wanted it done my way. So there just needs to be a measure of gratitude of, I'm so grateful I wasn't the one having to do this on my own.
Yeah.
Because if I were in every scene with you, Chris, if I was like, no, and cut it
Yes.
off, you'd be like, well, I'm not doing that anymore.
Right.
And that's not what we want.
No.
You pointed out something too, Chris, that I think makes sense to what you did in the Lessons in the Linen Closet, Erin, which connects to, I think, leadership and delegation and communication, which is structure to allow us flexibility.
That's right.
No different way than me saying, non-negotiables. It's really non-negotiables. This is the structure. For Game On, these are our rules of the game: laugh with, not at, have each other's back, celebrate small wins. I'm not trying to say them fast to disregard them, but we talk about them so much. That's the structure.
Yes.
Which then allows us to have some flex. I have found, I'm not saying this is like tried and true forever, but I think a lot of times if we start with just loosey-goosey flex, it's hard to then get to the structure. You structured it, Erin, by saying, we are going to fold towels.
Yeah.
Each one of you is going to fold a towel. You
Yes.
could argue that's structure. Then the flexibility and the fun came in. Let's see how each person does it. But if you would have just walked in with the towels and been like, have fun, well, there's no clarity.
Right.
Have fun, you would end up with someone wrapping
cape.
around their waist, someone using it as a head. What was that?
A cape.
A cape.
Yes.
A cape.
Like tie it around your neck like it's a cape.
Would you add some full? I had to. I had to.
You had to bring
I was like, bring it back.
Yes.
Don't force it.
Right.
And it was perfect. It was so natural.
Yeah. Well, I think some of that is our own comfort zone, right? It's our own way to like give ourselves that hug of like, I know this is familiar. It makes me think of this, going back to, from an improv standpoint. I had a student back in the day who was an older gentleman, and no matter what the scene premise was, no matter what happened in the scene, this guy was always going to dance with the person.
You knew that was his bit.
He always
So
went to.
funny. His
It was-
go-to. His go-to.
Give me a location. Yankee Stadium. Boy, I love baseball. And we gotta dance. And everything would go back to him evolving into dancing.
I'm sorry. It's like, let's say his name is Dan for alliteration. Like, hey, it's Dan. He's going to dance.
Yeah.
That's Dancing Dan. Be careful.
Yes.
It's fun, but be careful.
Yes,
It's
and
Dancing
that was
Dan.
always his go, because that was his comfort zone, right? That was his safety net, and so oftentimes we protect those, what we feel are preferences. We turn them into these dogmatic institutional rules.
Could you imagine if Dan's like, why isn't everyone dancing?
Right.
Dan, not
Yes.
everyone dances.
Yes.
That's a perfect
And
example.
he thinks like, boy, that was really good, and you're
Yeah.
like, it's the same thing.
Just dancing again.
I'm going to call Dan and be like, hey, how was Chris as an improver? He's good. I wish he would have danced a little more.
Right? Yeah, right.
I wish, I felt like Chris was a little stationary.
Could use a little more foxtrot there.
No tango. Real
Yeah, right.
disappointing.
But if you're looking at the world from that lens,
Yes.
and you're thinking dance is the thing, or this way to fold the towel is the thing, or I don't know why other people don't go to the airport 35 minutes before their flight.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a warped way to look at the world.
Well, and how much do we miss out on then?
Yeah.
And how miserable is our life just because we're just so focused in on the thing. Sometimes, like, I like that you said, like, then we are not folding towels together, or some of those moments, right? Like, you're going to end up alone folding and
sure, you got your towel forward the way you wanted, but all you have left is a closet full of towels and nothing else.
Well, and I kind of quipped in there that I don't want a lot of creativity when it comes to my towels being folded, but when you go on a
You don't want the
cruise,
pterodactyl or the
when you go
swan?
on a cruise and you walk in and they've got like a sloth hanging from the hanger, it's delightful. I don't know if I want that at home, but it's also like,
don't?
I don't know. I wouldn't be mad if there was like a swan
Right?
on my bed.
It's hard.
Came in.
It's
It wouldn't
hard to
be bad.
sustain.
Looking at me, Swan.
I've been on one cruise, and that was one of the takeaways. I'll never forget. I was with my mom 15 years ago, and they did those towels and like
Every day you're excited to
Flamingo.
see what is it going to be.
It's like like the towel version of like the Christmas elf, right?
Absolutely.
What's gonna show up today? How's it gonna be?
Trying to think of a good alliteration for that because you got the elf on the shelf. That
Yeah.
rhymes. But the towel on the
towel on a dowel.
towel on a dowel, something like that. But and when you were talking, Chris, what I started thinking of, as we talk about leadership, it's always about how we lead ourselves, how we lead others, and we're all parents in here too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And often those leadership lessons come down to leading our most challenging audience.
And most important
And
audience.
most important
Yeah.
audience. So my middle son, Grady, is our Lego kid. He loves Legos, and he'll get his Lego set. He'll build it exactly like he's supposed to, and then he'll play with it. And I'll come in like 2 weeks later, and now that set has been fully disassembled. And I'm like, Grady, what are you doing? You just built the very cool thing. He's like, well, I need the piece from it to build something else. And I was like,
That's
wait,
so not Erin, by the
Oh,
way.
it's
If you
so
know
not
Erin,
me.
she's
Yeah.
actually sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Erin is a puzzle maker. Like she'll
Yes.
piece puzzles.
I would glue his Legos together if I could, because it's supposed to be like this beautiful end product.
And I love that he's like, no, but I need this for that, and that's his way.
But what's even better is whatever he's built as a result of that is more creative, more interesting, and so uniquely him that had I super glued his set together,
Yeah, that would have been,
which I would love to do,
don't do that.
he never would have had the opportunity to build the newer, cooler thing that he is so much more proud of than the thing he built from a template.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we would fail if we were always like, here is exactly how you do it. I wouldn't get the elephant towel if no one decided to fold the elephant towel one day.
It's really good.
You know,
really
so
good.
I think as we're leading others, whether that's our kids or our coworkers or whoever it might be, give the loose instruction and see what will come from it in those moments that allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So-
that even kind of gets us maybe to sort of as we kind of land the plane metaphorically, even though I used the analogy earlier with the red eye, you know, we're a communication company,
Yeah.
and our focus is on connection. Most important audience we've really talked about our spouses and talked about our children. You know, side note is, as speakers, leaders, we should focus on our most important audience first and not give them the scraps, because it's easy to wow an audience that you'll never see again.
Right.
But with that said, I wanted to throw to you two to think about as we kind of put a bow on this. You know, it reminds me as you're sharing both of these really interesting stories, I think even your linen closet lessons, Erin, remind me of even how I like to communicate isn't always the way, I'm going to use my daughter, Blake, the way Blake likes to communicate. So
Yes.
to really look at your blog as so much more than a metaphor, but like a life lesson is, I'll give you an example and I'll toss it to you guys. So I'm teeing you up for not laugh with, I'm teeing you up for, hey, where have we either missed it or made it with, I communicate this way, you should too. I was, I was, by the way, if you don't know, we are public speaking experts, and I'm not being arrogant.
Right.
And as a public speaking expert, my daughter was preparing for the public speaking event at her school. I chose to communicate and direct her the way I like being communicated and directed.
Yes.
I folded the towel. I wanted it
Yes.
by helping her with the transition, sometimes transitioning it without asking her, moving her Lego piece. And it did not go well.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the biggest regrets I have in early parenting was letting her, I should have just let her prepare and maybe be there for guidance. But I tried to teach her the way I like to be taught. And she still will bring it up and be like, Dad, you so overcooked that. And that was her speech, not mine. Anyway, you don't have to give a miss. You can give a make. But a miss or a make on communicating with an audience where you put Erin's lesson into play or didn't.
I have one this week, if you don't mind
Oh, please.
jumping in.
Current.
Because, well, the minute you started talking, it immediately jogged in my mind. So I'm an early bird. And when I wake up, there's not much transition time from eyes open to fully awake. And I'm just like ready to tackle the day. So what I know is that I married someone who you don't talk to him for the first like 30, 45 minutes. Right. You don't even need to make eye contact. Like we can give like a loose, like, hello. And sometimes I can hand a cup of coffee and that's the extent of it. But with it being the holiday season, my checklist and event calendar and all the things we have going on is just, it's a little overwhelming, honestly. And so he got up, Dan got up in the morning, came out into the kitchen. I had already been up for like an hour. I'm kind of like Buddy the Elf. Like I got a full 45 minutes and still had time to build a rocking chair. And so I'm standing out in the kitchen and he comes in and I was like, hey, honey, can I just throw these 3 things onto your agenda for the day? I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, and we really need to do this, blah, 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 blah. And his tone got so hostile. And I say that with total grace for the fact that I just verbally assaulted this man as he walked out of our room with a list of things that he was not mentally prepared to receive.
You could have handled that.
And it was so unfair.
Yeah, you could. But I'm saying you could have handled it because that's your vibe.
Yeah.
But it may not be Dan's.
It's totally not his vibe. And that's where I need to do better, to realize that I need to slow down and give people the space that they need in order to communicate information that does need to get communicated, but is 6:15 in the morning, right when someone wakes up and is just, coming out and hasn't even touched the coffee maker. Is that the time to have that conversation?
Well said.
And I think one of my favorite strategies that we teach at Game On is the listen, talk, fix framework too. And I think that framework has saved us from a lot of marital discord, frankly, because I often want to immediately solve a problem with my kids too. I immediately want to solve every problem as opposed to just being a listening ear or a comfort or someone to talk it out with. And I think that is one of our most tangible and useful frameworks that we have at Game On, and would save, even in that moment where I overloaded my husband, if I had given some context for what I need to talk to him about and then ask him, when will you be prepared to have this conversation? Because awesome. I do need to ask you this question. So
well said.
That's what I've got.
Christopher, a make or a miss on the this is my way or the highway?
A make or a miss?
Like when you were communicating,
Yeah.
Have you forced the folded towel, or have you, or even a moment where you're like, actually, I played that well. I knew who I was dealing with, and I gave them what they needed.
I would say that I'm trying to think of one from this week that fits in that category. You might have to come back to me on that one.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, come back to you in episode 2 if we want.
We'll be here all day, We'll just wait on you.
This is how we level up our listeners. Yeah. We go, stay tuned.
Or we're going to be like, it's a 2-hour episode. This is the intermission. Grab yourself a snack.
Right.
We'll come back. No, that's not what I'm
3
saying.
hours later.
I love that voice, by the way. That is so funny. I'm the oldest here, so I still have to pick up on my hipness online, but that is so funny.
It is funny.
3 hours later. Where did that come from?
I think SpongeBob.
Is it SpongeBob? Is that it?
I'm pretty sure
I
it's
had
a
no
SpongeBob
idea.
reference.
No idea.
Yeah.
Well, look. Nevertheless, with that said, I want to start where we stop where we started, which is just an encouragement for all of us to think about our way.
Yes.
And think about when we are, it's non-negotiable. Yes, Chris has it. Chris has something. I knew it. By the way, I know Chris well enough. Real quick, we're practicing it. Erin and I will go right away. You got to know Chris. You throw something at him, improv master. Give it a second to marinate. Mm-hmm. He'll come back to you. Go.
So I mentioned earlier coaching volleyball. Yeah. I'm coaching 13-year-old girls, right? And so
easy audience,
right? And so
the easiest.
Me as a coach, I want them to get lots of good reps in playing. And so when they're warming up, I prefer them to just why don't you play a game of 3 or 4? And then on the volleyball court, if you're familiar with it, there's these 2 lines that are close to the net. They're 10 feet away from the net, and they're called the 10-foot line.
10-foot line. That's appropriately done. Yeah, that was a brilliant person.
Yeah, right. But I prefer them to play in 3s and 4s, just at the 10-foot line, and play more cooperatively because I just want them to get lots of touches and keep the ball moving. They, on the other hand, we're going to play with like 3 people on the court. We're going to go back and serve it from the end line, the service line, and half the time it's not going to go over the net, and then when it does, no one's there so there's no reps that are happening, and then they're just going off, and I have to remind myself that some of it is just they're out there having fun and moving around at the beginning of practice, which I guess that's a win in of itself.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be how I would warm up, even though I tell them, like, why don't y'all try to do like 3s and 4s? Coach Friday, no, we're gonna keep warming up.
Volleyball's getting like hidden to the net, over to the other side of the gym. No one's there to pick up the
all we're doing is chasing the ball.
Complete chaos.
But at least, they're running around and moving, getting warm.
I like that they're just like, Coach Friday, you're cute. Thank you, no.
Yeah. Well, they start out with that, and then it just starts to like move, and the next thing, other girls are wandering in. I'm like, there's no volleyball that's happening here right now.
They're like, thanks, coach. Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
That's it, though. Thanks for coming back to that, Chris. I mean, that is Laugh With. Laugh with Chris Friday, laugh with Erin Watson, laugh with Steve Shenbaum, laugh with Game On. And I want to encourage everyone to, first, Erin's going to be pleased, check out our blog, our newsletter, our content, and check out this podcast where podcasts can be checked out. How'd I do?
Yeah, you did great on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Watch your mouth.
And
Watch
on
your
our
mouth.
website.
First of all, stop yelling. And second of all, let me try it. Spotify. Say it one more time.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
Apple Podcasts. What else?
and on our website.
I want to echo what Erin said.
And can we say, like, tune in next time when we discuss dishes on the counter, in the sink, or in the dishwasher?
Gosh, you guys are killing me. And then you have to reload the whole dishwasher, and it's a whole thing.
Look at this. We were about to land the plane. What did you do?
Yeah, right.
Took off again.
Touch and goes, baby. Touch and goes.
That's Laugh With. Thanks for joining us. And fold those towels the way you want to fold them. Your way is the highway. Game on. Let's go. Laugh With.